Hi, my name is Aksik, aka Annika, and in today's video we are talking a bit about how I finished this image, the snake with the skull. It's a book of tattoos or tattoo designs, and it has 3 authors. I think this author is by L. Rose, but I am not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, we did the background of this image when I was doing the video about how to do backgrounds and texture with water-based markers. And I thought I might as well film some of the process of finishing the page, what I did and how I did. I really only used here water-based markers and Arteza expert pencils. The names of the pencils I might put into the description box. They are also going to come up as eye color. But most of the work, let's say 80%, is done with water-based markers, just blending direct onto the paper or just plain coloring. So that's about it, about the intro. Let's get cracking. If you are coloring relatively small objects on the one-sided page, then you can blend just as well with water-based markers that you can with alcohol markers. I can show you here now. These are Stabilo Power markers. I took 4 colors. They have a nice blend. And I'm taking the lightest one. And there you go. Everything is blended. In all the fairness now, these markers have absolutely fantastic magical tip. I do not know what exactly did they do. You can see this tip. It doesn't, look super different, but it rarely streaks at all, and it blends so well. And of course the ink in these markers is absolutely fantastic. So we can go again. Wasn't a fluke. So just put down wherever you want darks, wherever you want to put shadow. I think I'm going to leave it like this. Next darkest. And light touch. Main thing is not to rub the paper. You don't need to rub, you just need to get it wet with the ink. So you touch the paper gently. Little feathery flicks. Not rubbing, flicking. I'm a bit out of. And now I'll put on the lightest one again. I'll see if I can get even closer. Okay, angle wise this is a bit awkward now, but we'll try to do our best. Possibly you could see a bit better. Okay, and maybe, yeah, give it that sort of a shine. Next darkest. No rubbing, no harsh manipulation of the paper. Gentle touch. and the fourth lightest color. And that's how easy and how fast it goes, and they have color variation, and I think enough shadows that you don't really need to go with a pencil if you don't feel like it. Same goes for coloring the flowers with felt tip pens. All you need is, I like to have at least 3, preferably 4 different colors. So I have 3 of them from the Stabilo Power and 1 from Staedtler brush markers or felt tip pen set. So how I go about it here is that I'm taking the darkest one and I only put that in the very overlapping, like very sparingly. But there's definitely shadow that needs to be, and not for the whole overlapping area, because we want to stretch the other darker colors into these areas as well. So just kind of try to figure out where the petals go and overlap, and maybe even try to give them a little bit of shape. See if there's any dips you can see, you can accentuate them. And I can see here these are going to be dips. These are going to be, this is folding over here, so I'm putting a shadow underneath here. This is folding over here, so I'm sticking shadow underneath there. And maybe, yeah, there's a dip here. There's a dip there. I'm sticking a shadow under the fold. There seems to be a big folding area there. Just bringing it up like this. Just making sure, but don't take it to the all edges, because we want to leave some room for the other ones as well. And see, there's a dip there, so I might accentuate that. And there's even dip here. I might accentuate that as well. Okay, that's enough for one area. So I'm bringing in next. And I'm just going to take it a bit further, and I can see the shape of it, how it goes. So I'm going to put some underneath here, because there needs to be something under here. Bringing that one down for the full length of overlapping area. Oh, there's another folding over a bit here, and there's another fold in the petal here that I might want to accentuate. There's an overlapping area here. This is going to be a lot in the shadow, this whole inside of the petal. There's going to be shadow there, overlapping area, and maybe bring the darker one through the middle here, just to give them interest to the petals, so they wouldn't just be, you know, shadow in the darkest place and rest of it flat. Try to keep the areas organic and a bit haphazard, maybe even. Now the next, oh sorry, I forgot the biggest petal here. That one needs to be done as well, so that's overlapping. Blending this one out a bit. See, I'm giving shape to the petal. There's an overlap here. And there seems to be kind of a shape there. Bit of a fold. Okay. Now the next color is the lightest red. This set has beautiful reds. They're kind of gorgeous true. Some gorgeous true reds, which are actually kind of rare because they're often either orange or very pink. These ones are actual vibrant reds. I've said that before and I'll say that again. This is one fantastic felt tip pen set, and I dearly wish they would have more colors. It will be a bigger set. I would totally get it. But I don't think Stabilo is going to do that at this stage. I think they've been around for a very long time. No, and now I'm taking the lightest one. Starting to take shape now. So this tip, although it's a true brush tip now, is not as good as the Stabilo one. It's still a good tip, but not as. And it's not as juicy anymore as the Stabilo Power ones. But just to keep, even if it isn't that juicy, you still keep the touch very light. You don't press the paper at all, you just touch the paper and move it back and forth, and the ink just leaves the tip. Because rubbing it in won't make ink flow any better. It'll just damage paper. So just take it easy. Gentle hands. And just have a bit of patience and see, everything is blending beautifully. And don't forget, of course, that you can only use this method in one-sided books, because it will go through just as much as alcohol markers go, because you're essentially soaking the paper to blend. Yesterday evening I worked with basing this image now a little bit as well. I only did like everything here so far, except tiny bit of pencils there because I was testing some things, is water-based markers, just felt tip pens, nothing special. I did, you saw me to do those roses and leaves, they're not roses, whatever they are, gardenias, I really don't know. And then after that I based the skull with water-based markers. I used the Ohuhu pastel set, like this one. I don't know if they're available anymore, but they have great pale tones, which are pretty rare to find in water-based markers. Then I did the body of the snake. I just used one water-based marker for the belly, and then two kind of mid-brown and darker brown for the body, the back of the snake. And I kind of did a bit of a pattern on there, which I'm going to shade over, but you know, it'll just make it look a bit more interesting. So the first thing I'm going to do is to kind of bring the whole image a little bit forward from the background. And I'm not going to do huge amount of work for that because I don't want to spend ages on it. But you know, in certain spots, in certain corners or places, I'm going to take black pencil first. And then the second pencil in my hand is forest green, Arteza Expert, but any dark green really. It doesn't, because we have such a medley of different green tones because of that dropping, firstly coloring the background with different colors of green and then sponging it so everything will mingle and a lot of different shades and tones are formed. It's not really super important that the green that you use, as long as it's green, it doesn't need to super match anything. So you can see what I'm doing here. So just those corner bits here, give a little bit of darkness. Just to kind of bring the whole composition a bit more forward from the background, because this background is really strong and it can be overwhelming. So I'm just going to put little bits here and there. And the black I'm using is Brutfuner Black. It's 001 from old Brutfuner pack that comes in plastic little suitcase style with snaps box. They're quite cheap. It's on hard side and it's not super dark black like Prismacolor. So I'm using it often for a work like this where I don't want very dark, but I want some shadow. You can get those blacks. The reason also I'm using that a lot is because you can get them in packs of 10, I think, from places like AliExpress and Amazon. If you look around, just, pack of black coloring pencils, you should get them. And often they come with a pack of, like, I think it's pack of 10 of blacks and 10 of whites, or was it 5 of whites and 5 of blacks? I don't remember. I'd have to check it out. I might put information on the screen if I remember to check it out. Anyways, the whites are kind of useless. You can use them as like blenders, but as a white, they're not no good. But the blacks are what I use. Often kind of, I put it down and then I put some other color, dark color on top of it, and it kind of just deepens it. It's like mixing acrylics really, you use black to deepen tones. So I'm using the same principle for pencils. I'd like to give the snake's body a bit more of a shape and roundness. So I'm using Cheat's method to do that. And for that, I only need a dark brown pencil, which in this case is Arteza Espresso Brown. I might use some black. Does not matter what black. Can be Prisma, can be Brutfuner, can be Arteza, can be any pencil set. And this time I need Prisma White. Yes, you can see correctly. This Prisma White is itsy bitsy. I can show you. It's that much of it left. I tend to try to use them down to absolute stubs. I have plenty, so if we run out, we run out. I just take another one. There's another stub here which needs to be used up. Anyways, Cheat's method, and we might use a tiny bit of acrylic marker afterwards as well. So I've already kind of started here, so I'm going to take you a bit closer. We start here. So we're going to give it a bit darkness there next to the belly scales. Just color over the existing pattern created. It can be used with any snake. It doesn't, go only for this. Because a lot of artists depict the snakes with all the kind of patterns. And now create another band of darkness or shadow a little bit away from the outside line of the snake. So And of course you create this shadow here under the leaf, and here under the leaf, and you also create a shadow there, and not at the line, but to the side of the line here. Okay, so now you have two bands of dark here, here, here. And now you take Prisma White. Oh. And now you have some instant dimension. It doesn't show as well here in these tiny areas as it would be in the bigger area, but we'll do it here. We'll give a little bit of a highlight here and a tiny bit of shine here, to show that the snake's body is shiny. So if something is shiny, it has sharp highlights. It has sharp bands of dark shadow next to sharp bands of light shadow. So we're basically faking that here. We're not doing the whole, because we have this base of pattern, we can kind of deceive the eye that we did a whole lot of blending here, whereas we didn't. And just make sure that you also make a shadow here where there's petals and the leaves. No, and once again here we're doing this. We grab white. No, no. And here first we do the shadow underneath the leaves, some darkness, because they're sitting pretty much on the snake's body. It's going to be immediately next to them and pretty sharp. And here too, just to kind of separate them a bit. And we're gonna do, because this is deep green shadow because it's already underneath there, we're not going to create the white band here, but we're still going to give it something here. So we're going to create something like this here. Okay, and a bit of a highlight here, just to deceive the eye, thinking that this is something shiny underneath those leaves, and a tiny bit here. There has to be a strong shadow here, so I'm bringing in black as well, because that's pretty much the snake folding over itself. So we want real strong distinction here. Oh, now it's definitely strong. We're bringing out now with brown. There we are. Give those leaves a bit of a shadow. And when we're applying the white, in most cases we do it with the light hand. You can see I'm not applying much pressure. I'm just putting this blurry highlight here. After that, there's one more step, which I will show as well. And I'm following the curve of the snake's body with that highlight. And then I'm going to give something here as well. And because it's shiny, it needs to have this. And here, very little, because it's just coming out of the pretty dark shadow there. And to finish the snake off, now that all the highlights are into place, this is optional, but I like to put some tiny little sparkles. If you do them, be delicate with them, like as small as possible, not at even distances, kind of here and there, little sparkles. Going to put some on its cheek here. Next thing on the agenda is the snake's belly. And for this one, I used the same espresso brown I used for the back of the snake, raw umber and camel brown, and also Prisma white. And it's going to be once again quick and cheaty one. So we take the raw umber, which in some sets is also called green gold, or similar tones are called green gold. Basically it's greenish undertone, kind of an olivey undertone brown, and give a little bit of a shadow here and here, putting these down first and then start shaping those what they are scales. Now first I'm going to fill these ones in with the darkest brown. Once again, don't have to be Arteza pencils, any dark brown and any kind of a, like, this is pure green gold, or camel, it's kind of a yellowish brown. Now raw umber again. And now we're going to go to the top of the scale and do a little arch, and then kind of soften it downwards. So we're going to go up to the scale like this, arch, and then soften it downwards. And soften it. And the same here, although it won't be much visible. We're going to do the same here. Do an arch, join it up with the seam here, soften it a little bit downwards. Don't go too far. We need that space for what comes later. Soften it downwards. Now we take Prisma white. In this case, dull is a bit better than sharp. And we give it a highlight here. You can't hear because there's shadows, but highlight here. And also soften it downwards, but have a fairly sharp highlight there. Now we take the camel brown, and we basically bring that upwards gently. We create this stripe, not at the line, but a little bit upwards from it. So we have kind of reflected light there at the bottom. Soften it up a bit and bring it gently upwards. Take the white again. and emphasize the reflected light. And there you go. You can even strengthen the highlights here. You know, if they feel a bit anemic, give a bit more pencil. And there we go. That's simple enough. I'll do the rest of them and we'll come back. For the eye of the snake, we'll take, with all my talk about not needing Prismacolor black, we actually take Prismacolor black, and it's because it's delightfully smushable. So we do, you know, like a circle here. Then you take Prismacolor white and blend it out. And you get kind of more natural looking little highlight. I think I made it too big, so I might give more darkness to the edges here. And maybe here as well, and here. Oh, and I'm going to take acrylic marker. I won't add much to the skull, but I will add a little bit here and there. This is concrete gray, which is A013, Arteza Expert. And I'm just going to desaturate. The colors I chose were not vibrant by any means. But you know, I'm going to desaturate them further because I want that skull to be pretty dull. A dull skull. Okay. And you know, the shadow areas, so I felt that it was a bit more yellow than I wanted here. Okay. So I'm going to pretty much, that's it, I think. And then I'll take the same raw umber we used, and I'm adding a bit of this bone yellow brown into some areas. We don't, it's such a stylized and beautiful line art that I don't want to go altering or disguising it. So I'm just going to, you know, throw in some color variations and let the line art to do its work here. Just add some warm bits. And I'll take our good old espresso brown again. It's kind of a good idea to keep, especially if, you know, the base is different color, to keep reusing the colors as much as we can to have more cohesive result. So I know that this one here is kind of supposed to open. And I'm also going to give it more of a shadow, kind of bring the flower forward, have it to be behind the flower more. Just in places, not everywhere. And I want more shadow there as a kind of, so it would be and as you can see, I'm not doing full shading, but I do want to get the jawbone look like it's separate from the top of the skull. I might even add some black in there to make sure. Now we take Brutfuner Black. I'm going to bring some of it in just to make sure that we have the jawline accentuated here, that this is supposed to open. Okay, and one more thing is that because nothing is ever black when it's printed, it's kind of gray. Take Prisma Black and actually make those eyes or eye sockets here and the nose socket here, make them black. I won't do anything drastic with leaves, but I will give them a little bit of extra interest with Ocean Blue by the same Arteza Expert set, and I'm just adding a little bits of here where the shadows have gotten a little lost maybe, or kind of dark areas. It won't even add that much of a shadow, but it does add a bit of an interest, you know, it's a bit different looking then. I want to add a tiny bit of a drama to the flowers, so I'm using Amethyst Purple, which is once again Arteza, it's A416, and Rose Red, which is A205, both are Arteza Expert. And all I'm going to do, once again, fast and sloppy, is add the purple only in the very, very darkest or kind of shadowest areas, where there's definitely, you want an emphasized shadow, where things overlap directly or should be hidden by other objects. So we just stick it see here should be a shadow, and here a little bit, and here a little bit, and here a little bit. And I'm taking the Rose Red and just going over it, and okay, here also emphasize this fold by putting a bit more Rose Red underneath it. And anywhere I put the Amethyst Purple, I'm going to go over it with Rose Red and bring the Rose Red out a little. And here you can see it gives this little instant lift. And I could put full blend onto it, but I don't want to. I want this book to be fairly relaxed coloring, at least this image here. So you can see those things overlap, so there definitely should be a dark spot there, dark spot here. This should be pretty strong here. They overlap here. Maybe this bit here because the petals overlap. Give it shadow here, give it shadow here, especially in a corner bits like this. There's something totally like covering. So I'm just putting down the amethyst here wherever I deem it necessary. Give it a bit more shadow here and more shadow here. Basically establishing what is on top of what and then emphasizing it. And everywhere I have put down the purple, I'm going to go over it with this fairly warm red. And because the red is warm and it obviously has a bit more orange in it, it neutralizes a little bit that purple. So it doesn't really look purple anymore. It kind of looks more like just dark version, or dark shadow. Because orange has yellow in it, and yellow neutralizes purple. And after we have finished all the shading of the rose, which didn't take long at all, because it was done in kind of a fast and dirty manner. I'm going to add, in this case, once again, if your Prisma is dull, keep it dull. It actually works better. Some soft highlights, and Prisma goes down super well, because those areas that I'm here highlighting, I didn't put any pencil on them, so it just grabs the paper really well. There's no pencil for it to fight, no other wax or oil. So I'm just going to bring some bits forward and not pressing hard, actually fairly kind of a little bit of pressure. And you can see the difference between that one and that one. So we're going to do this one here as well. And see how, because it's slightly dull, it naturally goes down in a like blurred manner. So it doesn't look super harsh or artificial. It looks like it's supposed to be. Here you go. And keep it kind of flowing same direction as the petals go. And what I will probably eventually do is that I'm going to probably use acrylic marker or acrylic paint and do the frame in black instead of white. And kind of clean up this bit here as well, because there's a bit of a run there. Other than that, I think it's ready, and it didn't come out half bad. Kind of interesting. And there's, different textures and some interesting methods and quick methods how to make things look pretty good without putting huge amount of work into it. So hopefully you had a good time. Thank you very much for watching. If you like my channel, please like and subscribe, and until we meet again, bye bye.